Well, today's the day I get to talk about one of the prototypes I have. Should have thought about this first, four different prototypes from a couple different companies in different product categories that I get to test, so I'm happy to do that. I'm pretty artistic and I like checking out that kind of stuff. But one of the things was released that I could talk about today. I've had this for a few weeks. This is a Vortex Defender ST. The ST is nothing new, but the part that is new about it is it's a closed emitter red dot. So this is I don't know, maybe a first for Vortex for pistol sights, but anyway, new for their Defender line. Like I said, I've had this thing for maybe 3 weeks or a month, and I don't know, maybe I'm just too slow in my old age, but I've already seen videos about how this is the next best thing and people should buy and stuff like that. I'm probably a little bit more reserved when I post opinions on stuff. Obviously, if you get out of the box and it's just crap or it doesn't work, that's kind of a clear-cut case. But otherwise, with something like this, I want to test it more before I say, hey, you should buy this or don't buy this. So I'll just kind of talk through what it is. I made a post on Instagram a couple hours ago and already got a bunch of questions. So I thought I'd answer through those and kind of just talk through the product and what it is and stuff like that. So the important thing, well, I'll talk about the features that I think are important. People want to know the mounting pattern. This works off a Delta Point Pro mounting pattern. So the same as this one, it's brother, cousin, distant relative, whatever. This is a Defender XL. So same Delta Point Pro plate. I already had a plate, luckily for one on hand. This is from Arise Manufacturing, one of the lowrider plates. And I used the exact same hardware that I would have used to mount the Vortex Defender XL. So that part was handy. The pistol I chose, I got these around the same time. Walther was kind enough to send me a couple pistols. So I posted a video on YouTube asking what people would want me to test on this gun. And I got a bunch of responses. So one of the things I thought was pretty interesting was people suggesting that I kind of audit my preference for how I set these guns up. Normally, all my Vortex Defender pistols, my Walther PDPs get a different guide rod, and so I decided just to test this one with a factory guide rod. So, still got the factory guide rod. It's a 4.5-inch steel frame. It's a Pro model, so it's already got the full send or the Walther dynamic performance trigger in it. So, all that's happened so far is I've changed the grips to lock grips. Lock was kind enough to send me a few other varieties also. I think I've got 4 of them. 4 different sets of these things in the mail. So there'll be content coming up also talking about aftermarket grips, fitting them to your hand in the different textures that Lock offers. This one's the Bogies, and I think this one is going to be my least favorite just because of how sharp it is. So I've got a couple other textures on the way. Overall, talking through the red dot, the one feature that I was quite happy to see them do, well, a couple of them. One, you can take out the battery without removing the optic. I think everyone's pretty much left the Trijicon RMR in the dust. I'm not sure of anything that I would actually buy that you do need to remove the optic for, but just worth saying. So you can easily remove the battery without removing the optic. And the other part that I think is important to talk about is dot size. This one comes in a 3 MOA dot, which 2 or 3 MOA would be my preference. I'll talk a little bit of hate, maybe in a nice way. This one is one of the first Defender XLs I was sent. I've got a handful of them. The Vortex guys were nice enough to send me, but this one is in a 5 MOA, and just looking at the dot, I find it mildly annoying, but when I actually have it on the range, I don't notice it so much. I recently took a Kyle DeFore class, maybe, 3 weeks ago or a month, and it was my first time shooting B8 targets. Some people really love it. It was okay as a novelty, something to do, a different challenge in class. So we did, I think it's called a speed bowl. It was 10 shots, 10 seconds, 25 meters from the draw. So then it was scored out of 100. Anything I think over 92 or 94, Kyle said was passing. At least for his standards. I'm not really into B8, so I don't know about what other instructors or standards would do. But anyway, that was for the class. And with that, the gun I was shooting that day had a Defender XL with a 5 MOA dot. thought it was going to be a little bit annoying, but it ended up not being a problem at all. Just tried my best to laser focus, and that's it. Just react to the color of the sight or stop staple sight, and I didn't really notice the 5 MOA annoying me or causing issues at all with shooting B8 targets at 25 yards. However, with all that said and done, if I have a choice, I'd rather do a 2 or 3 MOA. So was glad to see this one comes in with a 3 MOA. One thing that I discovered, well, a little bit by accident, was there are multiple reticle choices in this optic. I guess it's a good thing for consumers because consumer likes options, but I wish they didn't because, well, I'll explain in a second. I like just using the plain dot. I don't like any of the other horseshoes, circles, gizmos, ballistic, compensating reticles, whatever. So this had just a plain, or has just a plain dot. Had it to the range training a bit, and on my way home, or when I left the range, I just put this and another pistol in a soft-sided zipper pouch. So 2 kind of pistols go into one case, and when I got home and pulled this thing out before I put it in the safe, I looked and it had a different reticle. I was like, ruh-roh, I clearly wonder what I did. So I grabbed the instruction manual and look, if you press the plus and minus button together, it toggles through the reticles. There's 3 choices total. First one is the 3 MOA dot. The second one, I had to pull up their instruction manual to make sure I say it right, is a 32 MOA circle. They say it's a circle, but it looks like the bottom of it kind of has a piece missing. I don't know. At least their website says that. It's tough. I have a little bit of astigmatism, so it's tough to see, but it looks like the bottom of the circle is missing. So it's like a mix between a circle and a horseshoe, I suppose. But for my eyes, astigmatism or not or whatever, it kind of all blurs together. That's why I prefer just the plain dot. Anyway, so you have the plain dot, the 32 MOA circle with kind of one spot missing out of the circle at the bottom. So it's not really a horseshoe, but it's not really a circle. And the third reticle option is both those together. So the circle and the horseshoe. That's not really anything new. The HoloSun 507 comp, or a lot of HoloSun with the multi-reticle system has that also. So this has been around for a while, and I like it just about as much on the HoloSun as I do on the Vortex, which is to say, not at all. I prefer just a plain dot. The reason is, for a fair amount of shooting, I'll want to just react to the color of the sight. And if I'm doing that, and I've got that big circle turned on, or some ballistic compensating or holdover, whatever, I understand where you could say it's used for range estimation or hold off, or to draw your eye to the middle, or you could use the outside circle. Any argument you could make, but at least for me, when I'm shooting quickly and I want to just react to the color of the sight, I've had an issue where I've reacted to the outside color of that ring, not waiting for the center. So again, what that means is, like, if your dot, if this ring is this big and I've got the little 1 minute dot in the middle of it, and I want to hit here, just as soon as the ring of that outside touches where I'm looking at my eye line, then I'm going to fire the gun, and that caused a bit of a marksmanship issue. So for me, I prefer just the plain dots. I wish they didn't even offer you guys these issues to trip you up, but people like variety. So anyway, the only other, one of the only digs I have so far on this is the buttons. So the reason I discovered that this thing has multi-reticle is because I accidentally had it hit in the case, and I wish these buttons they're not exactly proud, but they're not really recessed or smaller, and I've just had a couple times where if I set it, and again, it's probably just the right gun, the right thing, whatever, but it would end up kind of pendulum between, if I put, like, it sets on its side, between the slide stop and the optic, it could put pressure right there and toggle the reticle. So if it's in a holster or being trained with, probably not a big deal, but it's just one of the things I noticed. So I do wish the buttons were recessed. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints so far. But again, I've only had it for 3 weeks or a month, so kind of still testing it out. I'm not quite brave enough to start posting online with a bunch of, I don't know, slow motion videos and dubstep saying how this is like the best dot ever made, stuff like that. So I'll still be working with it for a bit, but that's kind of my findings so far. A couple questions or things to talk to is how it compares to the Holosun closed emitter. This one's a 509T. Do my best to compare these, but it is definitely a tick shorter, and width looks about the same. I'm getting good angles or not. So width of the optic, maybe the Vortex is just a tick more, but the Vortex is a tick taller. If I compare that to the Vortex Defender XL, there is no comparison. The Defender is just a bigger window. It's taller and wider. So the Vortex is bigger in that regards. And if we compare the 507 comp, it's going to be the same story. The window's taller and wider. So of the closed emitter red dots, I think this is the biggest one right now. I don't have an aim point to compare it to, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of bad experiences with those. So I don't have any aim point pistol optics anyway. The rifle stuff is quite good. So let's see. Questions you guys have already for me. Let's see. Very cool. Looks like a great optic. How does a window compare to an XT or Holosun comp? Ha! Answered that one. Vortex sending out prototypes to the right people says a lot. Depends if I'm the right people or not. But that was... appreciate it. Let's see. How much bigger than an EPS? So, I have one in my safe. Dang it. The EPS is just a tick shorter than what the 509T is. So it'd be EPS, then 509T, then the Vortex, if you're going just for size of the housing and the window itself. Is the footprint the same as the 509T? Nope. It's the Delta Point Pro. Please tell me they're affordable. Well, I'm not trying to flex, but I didn't pay for this. I think retail on Vortex's website is $530. I'm guessing that means street price is $4.5. So I think that's similar to Holosun money. Let's see. What do I love and hate about it? Better than the XL. So that's a good question. What do I like and hate? The buttons I find slightly annoying, but I also find the XL buttons slightly annoying. I wish they weren't just quite so proud. If you look at the optic, right, so it's right there. I don't know if I can get a good angle or not. But the buttons just stick up. Nah, take the L. The buttons are slightly proud and they stick up just a little bit above the optic. So it's easier to tap them. On the Defender XL, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing to toggle. I found it slightly annoying on the closed emitter, but that only happened one time and it may never happen again. So it's a little probably too early to say it's a problem. The one thing about the XL, using this optic in a closed emitter, or I'm sorry, a Safariland holster with an ALS, I have wore the buttons off the side of one of mine just from rubbing in and out of the holster. It didn't cause issues, but it was just a little bit annoying. So if I had to pick one thing so far I don't like, probably be the buttons, but no one else will probably have that issue with it other than me. And not that it's a problem. I wish it just didn't have different multi-reticles because, I don't know, I don't like using them and it's just one more thing to toggle through. So I don't love that part. Otherwise, the part I like is that it's a closed emitter red dot in a right price point. It's just a tick bigger than the Holosun. So the Vortex glass is very clear. It looks transparent compared to the Holosun. Like the 509T has a little bit of a turquoise-ish tint to it. Very close or the same to what you'd see on an SRO if you're a Retrigicon user. So a little bit of a turquoise hue to it. I don't want to speak for Holosun, but I think that helps with like battery life, and there's something else. I believe there's a reason why they do those. But anyway, and then the EPS, the next one down from this, doesn't have that tint at all. So just one model. Otherwise, I think the EPS has the clearer glass of the closed emitter for the Holosun line. This one's super clear. So for things I like the price point. I like that it fits the same footprint that I already have, Delta Point Pro, and I like how clear the glass is and a little bit bigger window. So there's a lot of stuff I like about it. and me complaining about the buttons or multi-reticle isn't really a deal breaker for most people. I'm just a little bit high maintenance sometimes. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I said on other prototypes. Yep, I did say that on Instagram. I have other prototypes. Let's see. It's okay. I can tell you won't say anything, I bet. So is the Delta Point Pro footprint? Yes. At least the logo is smaller. That's an interesting take. And then a couple other questions worded about closed emitter comparison to hollow suns. Long term, it's tough to say. I'm not trying to just talk about hollow sun the whole video, but this one, the 509T, I've put a lot of rounds through it, suppressed and non. No issues at all. I trust hollow sun stuff. I mean, it's been good for me, but I've got a bunch of Vortex stuff that I've shot through a bunch also, and that's been fine. So I don't have any reason to believe this dot will have issues, but I need to shoot it for a bit before I, make any bold statements. Overall, I like it. I think it's good to have more options, at least, for the closed emitter bros. And I don't know if it'll cause an issue for anybody or not. The battery tray sticks out just a tick on the side, so a little bit wider than the pistol. I like that it's easy to get to, but just cosmetics-wise, I don't know. It'll be interesting to try this, or I should try it in a Safariland holster to see if it rubs or hit or what. I don't think the tolerances are so tight from side to side that it'll be an issue, but I should test that out. So anyway, I'll post an update once I have more time with it and experience. For right now, that's just kind of my initial thoughts on the optic. Overall, I don't know. It's Vortex and Holosun are really my go-to for anything I'm going to buy. Yes, I do get some stuff from both of them for free, but whether I'm getting it for free or paying for it, I think these two are like my go-tos as far as brands. So more options for closed emitter makes sense. I'm not sure. I don't really do anything cool enough that I actually need a closed emitter for, but options are good. So anyway, that's my thoughts for now. I'll have more stuff to say, I'm sure, in the future. If you have any questions, please drop it below, comments, stuff like that. I'll do my best to read through the comments. So if there's a different comparison that you guys would like to see or a product to review, if I have it, I'm happy to talk through it. Or sometimes I'll just go out and buy stuff if you guys want me to talk about it. So appreciate you watching. Have a good day.